we will be cleared of this alleged scandal, that there is no scandal. Thank you.
Mr. Muridi?
Madam Chair, I have nothing to add apart from the fact that you requested I submit written submissions. I will do that. I'm guided. Thank you.
The representative of the PS, when all this was happening in advisories, did you take this feedback back to the mother ministry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wish to respond by saying that I represent the Principal Secretary, Minister of Health in the KEMSA board, which I believe Madam Chair are able to do, and the Chair who is present here can confirm that. And I participate in all the board deliberations, both the full board, special board, and at committee levels. And that, as a representative to the Principal Secretary, I'm supposed actually to report back to the PS. And let me say that, Madam Chair, that before any board meeting in KEMSA, I always share the agenda, invitation agendas of the
Please
KEMSA.
don't take us around. Just go straight to the
Yes.
point. The question is, did
Yes.
you report to the PS what was happening, or did you not? So the others are either
Yes,
here nor there.
Madam Chair, I reported regularly to the PS on what was happening in KEMSA, but the gap, which on this matter, Madam Chair, the gap which is there at the board level on what happened is the gap which is at the board level, Madam Chair, is the gap of information which actually I could not bring as far as what the PS required to know. So that gap which is there at the PS level is the same gap which is at the board level, just as it has been clearly put several times, Madam Chair, in these meetings.
So where is the gap? Just be very clear.
Yeah.
Where is the gap?
The gap of what happened as far as these procurements in KEMSA are concerned and what the board knew. That's a gap.
You want to confirm that the board was not aware, they didn't know what was happening all this time?
Absolutely, Madam Chair. That's a true position.
Okay.
Yeah, that gap is there, and that gap is there, and that's a gap actually I could. That's a gap also the PS and the ministry. There is. Thank you.
But I've seen, as I said, there was communication between the ministry and KEMSA on what was supposed to, they gave authority to incur expenditure.
Madam Chair, I wish to make a comment.
A comment on that?
Yes.
Okay, let me just finish this. So there was communication between the ministry and the KEMSA on the authority to incur expenditure. So as a board member, were you not concerned, on the amounts that were going on, or totally you were on the dark, you didn't know what was happening?
Madam Chair, the amounts of the procurement from the KEMSA capital, the bond, including myself as a representative in the ministry, we were in the dark, and I was also equally in the dark.
Okay.
Yes.
Suspended CEO, want to make a comment before I take it up?
Madam Chair.
Yes, make your comment.
It would be mischievous to say that kind of a comment. I would want to say that the board, and indeed Mr. Dr. Mbuva, between the month of March and the month of June, it was happening in KEMSA. They visited KEMSA. And at one stage, I believe when they came and found so many cars parked outside, they would not have imagined that the CEO is doing a political rally. We were actually engaging suppliers who had come to do supplies. I do remember that the chairman used to come and make, advisory, and at the end of all this, you'll be visited by all investigating arms. So do everything right. So for someone to say they were not aware, to me, I would wish to say that is not correct. We held board meetings, we did board updates, board reports, and I don't want to comment further. The only issue here we are discussing and has been confirmed by the chair is the approved budget 4.6 and the budget that we incurred of excess of 3 billion. But as to what was happening, Dr. Mbuva and Kano Kuria even visited our warehouse to confirm that we have those commodities in our warehouse. Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Chair, let me just, that is related to the question I raised. That it's a clarification. Even if there is a clear instruction from the ministry on a major issue, were there board papers, board reports prepared and put before the board to discuss and say the ministry has said we have 700 something million and we are going to do this because this is a COVID emergency and seek the concurrence of the board? Because if there's an emergency, the emergency is not just for the ministry, it is for the board as well. And I would expect that when the CEO has a major decision like that to make, that decision is taken before the board, even emergency board meetings are called, and that is then discussed, and the board is aware. What is coming here is like the board doesn't know. There's more communication between the CEO and the ministry, and a not clear one between the CEO or the executive and the board. Can the chair comment on this, please? The chair
I take recognize that the chair have not answered the question, so that will be additional. Maybe you'll also take this this committee on the structures, the structure of management and the board. You can take us through. Honorable Emaniko.
Mine is an observation, Chair. What we are witnessing, the discrepancies, the blame game between the management and even within the management, the different departments and the board and the MOH is a clear indication of a serious problem that we are yet to identify.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
Madam Chair,
Vice Chair, and then then we allow
Madam
the
Chair,
chair to respond.
Yesterday I did raise this issue directly to the PS about his or her representative to the board. And when I was raising the issue, I did not know you. Neither have any vendetta, because I even can't pronounce your name, because I'm not used to. But listening to you, it confirms the fears of every member of this committee that actually we need restructuring of KEMSA. Owino has alluded to the same issue, Honorable. From the first day, we started investigating this matter. And listening to you, it appears to me that you have no idea why you are sitting in that board. As a representative, you don't represent the PS. You represent the ministry. By extension, you represent the president in that board. And this is what we are seeing every day. That you make the government look so bad. When the president is working so hard to mitigate on this, going an extra mile, then you as his representative, you are letting him down. Waswahili wanasema mkala muue, haki yake mpatie. The CEO has just confirmed that you've had meetings on a number of issues. And here you are lying openly that there was communication breakdown. And you're a government representative in that board. I think part of the recommendation will be the representative of the minister, of the PS, the so-called, in that board is inefficient and is disconnected from what is happening between KEMSA and the ministry. That is what is coming out clearly. The reason why we have this corruption now, the reason why we have all this issue, the so-called COVID gate, the reason why we've got all this name calling, it is because of people like you, whom when appointed, they don't go and do what it is expected of them. So will I put it in to you that you did not play the role that you are expected to play, and you are not fit for that, to sit in that board? Will that be, will I be right if I put it to you that way? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Owino and honorable members, I would like we finalize on this matter. We have other witnesses waiting. And so, Owino, make it brief.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And just following what Honorable Kutunya have said, I just want to put this directly also to the Chair. Is your board functional? And what is the quorum of that board? Because we have been going through around that board. We don't know how efficient is this board functioning. So I think we need candid answer. Now, to the CEO, the first impression I got was that you signed the commitment letters because the director was unwell. And that brings another question. If the director is deposed, who else is legally allowed to transact on his business? Is it the CEO or there's a deputy director? You know, all this should come to us well. So if there is lacuna in the policy or regulations that you're dealing with, then we can help to restructure all this or bring some more information. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Chair.
Thank you.
Honorable Chair.
Dr. Juma?
Yes, I want to just respond on an issue. The CEO indicated that when the commitment letters for the 9 bidders were written, I was indispossessed. I want to confirm to this committee, I was not indispossessed. I was in the office. Only one day was I away in the office, on 5th of June, when the letter for shop and buy was written. All the other letters, I was in the office. So that allegation that I was indispossessed, I have not been dispossessed. And on that day of 5th, I requested for permission for 1 day off only. During the COVID items, I have been in the office 24/7.
Well noted. Chair?
Chair, can I?
Who is
Chair,
it?
Chair, can I? Sorry.
Let's hear Chair first go. Chair?
May I request that I come last so that I can, if you allow me, I can make closing remarks?
Yes, yes. Okay, then representative of PS.
Yeah,
And
Chair,
then I go to the CEO, the CEO, and then we finalize with the Chair.
Yeah, Chair, thank you very much. Let me say that as a representative of the PS, my contribution to the way things are supposed to be done in KEMSA at the bond level would only come through the bond reparations, Madam Chair, through the various agenda items which are brought at the bond level. And therefore, if a matter has not been brought through that procedure, Madam Chair, and I have failed as a representative of the PS to give the necessary direction or guidance on that matter, I would say I would agree that I have failed. But let me say that in this matter, which is which is under discussion, it is very clear that at the bond level, from the meeting which was held on 19th of May, between that time and the time when now we are talking about these items having been procured and delivered in KEMSA, there was very little in terms of guidance which was brought at the bond level for us to give direction on, Madam Chair, with due respect.
We've heard you. The CEO.
Yeah, Madam Chair, as I said earlier, all commitment letters were done and signed, rather were signed in my office. When I said Mr. Juma was indisposed, I said in some instances when I did sign, drafted the commitment letter, at some instances he was indisposed. On the issue of the aspect that has been brought forward, that we don't have a clear communication between the board and the Minister of Health. All letters are signed and dispatched to the PS, and they are received. All board meetings are recorded. Board attendances are signed. and allowances are paid on time. So I would wish to say that in all this, what we used to give were board updates on the procurements done through supply chain committee and through the finance and strategy committee would even give the updates on how far we have utilized the funds. So those minutes are there, and the legal director, who is the custodian of those minutes and the attendances, will be able to give those documents, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. You said we didn't have the legal director here and the finance. Yeah, would you, I want to give you, you've been listening, and you are finally the one to be. Could you give your comments?
Yes, Madam Chair, just for record purposes, there was a submission by the CEO, Dr. Manjari, that there has been a growth of income from 2.8 billion to 4.04 billion in the from the financial year 2015-2016 to 2019-2020. I wish to confirm the same, Madam Chair, and I will give a detailed report in writing to confirm the same. Also on the issue of the reserves, the documents that will come later through the CEO will have that information. The other thing, Madam Chair, I wish to comment is the issue of UHC funds. Madam Chair, UHC funds are intact. Not even a shilling has been used for the wrong purpose, for any other purpose apart from UHC. I wish to confirm that. Out of the 12.5 billion that we received, 5.4 billion has been used, and 7.1 billion is still intact. And we can provide that information, Madam Chair. The chairman had alluded to maintain that. Madam Chair, lastly, there was a question by Honorable Koros on the issue of whether we receive funds from Treasury Direct. Madam Chair, I wish to confirm we don't receive funds from Treasury Direct. All funds come through our parent ministry, apart from where we play an agency role to the Global Fund, and we are paid fees for giving services to the Global Fund. The principal recipient is domiciled at the National Treasury, and that's the only instance where we receive funds directly from the National Treasury. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So would you be able to tell this committee how much money you are holding into your accounts?
I will provide that information, Madam Chairman.
All right.
Yeah.
Acting CEO, before I go to the chair, last time you appeared here, we talked about 300 million. 300 million that was given to you, that was in the month of May. From the Ministry of Health, you were given authority to incur expenditure and buy the reusable masks for the vulnerable communities. There have been issues here that the Chamber of Commerce was supposed to procure. Where are we at that point? Where are we now? Have you already given out the tender, or have the masks been delivered? You're negotiating. Which point are we at the issue of 300 million masks, the reusable one for vulnerable Kenyans?
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the reusable masks, the process is still ongoing.
It's ongoing. You know,
yes.
This issue of process is ongoing. It happened even last week. So where are we? We just want a very direct answer.
We are negotiating, and tomorrow the Chamber of Commerce is coming for a meeting to conclude this matter. We shall close it at that point.
Now, did you do what was its name, reverse? So because if you are negotiating, that means already the items are at your warehouse, or how are you doing this one?
Now, this is not an emergency procurement. We followed it in the normal way, advert, then the documents come. So this is not reverse process. It is not reverse process.
So you want to, can you confirm to this committee that then a tender was advertised, issued, and the bid was won, and now what are you negotiating?
Chair.
Just want to be clear.
Chair, that is very interesting. We have a pandemic going on, and we appropriated that money that people can be prevented, because masks have been proved to prevent COVID-19 infection by 80%. And now what we are hearing, that this was not an emergency.
No, not only that, Chair, we are buying masks at 700 shillings instead of 250 because we are in an emergency. The same time, we are also saying the masks that we are making ourselves for the people of Kenya are not emergency. What kind of contradiction? And Chair, that is the first money we actually asked you, and some of us were in the ministry and told the minister that if you are going to protect Kenyans, give Kenyans who don't have money masks.
Honorable Chair, can I respond to that? Because I have details.
Yes, Juma.
Honorable Chair, I want to respond to that. When this procurement came on board for 300 million, I and the CEO were in the office. We wrote to the ministry because in the letter there was an indication that we consult the Chamber of Commerce. So we called the president of the Chamber of Commerce. We had a meeting in Kemsa where we agreed that we write to the PS seeking for an okay that will be able to procure the items directly from Chamber of Commerce, who will be able to mobilize the item from the various enterprises across the country. And the PS wrote to us, giving us an okay, and therefore I wrote an authority to the accounting officer, which was approved by the CEO, which is a direct procurement for emergency procurement for those items. And therefore, a bid was prepared, and the Chamber of Commerce was invited. By the time we were living in the office, the process was ongoing. So I can be able to confirm it is not a normal procurement.
So that tells us that it has not moved since you left office because the acting CEO seem not to be aware.
Madam Chair, point of clarification. The underlying theme of why we are here is about process. So this is something that we had to look into to make sure that process is followed. So that is the answer. Chamber of Commerce are coming in tomorrow, and we'll be able to conclude the matter from there, because we did not want to end up in a similar situation like we are now. Thank you.
No, Chair, we cannot take that. We cannot take that statement. Now you are contradicting yourself. When you go for direct procurement, that is an emergency stage. We understand you just joined in, but I think Juma has really clarified why we appropriated that money. It came from this chamber. So saying that is a process, we all know processes, but some processes are more of emergency nature that cannot be normal. That's what we are saying, and that's why we are surprised when you are saying it is a normal tender. So you have to own that. If you didn't get it right when they are going out, then you should say so, right?
Madam Chair, to confirm, I'm owning it. There's no contradiction here. We just wanted to ensure that due process is fully followed. So we will conclude this as fast as we can. Thank you.
When I see you, could you give us a time frame? Could you give us a time frame when this issue is going to be concluded? Is it tomorrow you're concluding it, and when are we getting the mask to the public?
Allow me to communicate officially to your office tomorrow.
At what time tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning.
No, when I see you, since you took over that seat, you've been trying to be very elusive. Very elusive. You know, you try to be gaugy. And you know, we've been around for long, so we know people who can take the committee round. So be very careful we don't categorize you as a very elusive, as someone who appears in the committee in a very clever way. So be very careful. What we are saying is that we don't want to be communicated tomorrow. You know very well. What are you discussing tomorrow? And if it is an issue of conclusion, you know how many days? 14 days? Is it 10 days? Yeah.
Honorable Member, Madam Chair, we are meeting in chamber tomorrow morning. I'll communicate immediately thereafter.
And I hope in your communication we have timelines on when we expect these masks to go out to vulnerable Kenyans.
It will have dates of delivery dates when we expect the first batch.
Very good. And Chair, you can now make your comments as you conclude. And also, Chair, just tell us about that, the 300 million. If you want to add a voice on that, proceed.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The questions that were raised, or issues that were raised with me, are not many, and most of the other issues have been answered too. Honorable Wino asked a question, who is supposed to sign the commitment letters, and I believe that has been answered, that the procurement person, and then they were signed by the CEO after they had gone through the process. Dr. Nyikao asked to whom is the CEO answerable, and the CEO is answerable to the board. Now, I was asked, why did we send Mr. Murithi on suspension? That was coming from Honorable Jagagwa, who has since left. And the issue was, why did we send him on suspension, and yet he was not in the list involving procurement? Let me put it this way, that, like I've said, there are investigations going on. I've read out to you the letter from EACC. It is actually in the volume 1 folder of file that I gave out when I was here last, I think it was last week. And the investigations are going on. Now, Honorable Jagagwa would say that, that Mr. Eriel Murithi has nothing to do with procurement. I may think so too, but the investigations are, we do not know where the media got them. We're also reading about them, and that's when I asked Mr. Juma to let me know whether indeed those memos were in existence and whether or not he was able to give me the folder. And that discussion and the discussions I had with the CEO, Dr. Manjari, informed the meeting that we had on 3rd of August, at which we were taken through board paper, I believe, number 12, at which we went through the COVID procurements one by one, how much how much we had now reached, and how they thought they were going to fund it. Madam Chairman, let me say this. We are talking about a procurement period of just about 2 months. An emergency procurement period of about 2.5 months, between 15th of March and end of April. You find that no procurements were done after May, except those which were extensions of the periods that had been given. And that's a very short time, because the board does not sit every day. We have not had a full board meeting since March. And when we meet again, we're supposed to have met in August. We did not meet because of all these meetings we've been having. We are going to confirm the minutes of the previous meetings, including the special board meetings that we had. So it is not possible that the board was going to be there and see every single letter that was written to every single supplier at KEMSA. All we did, and I want to say this at the risk of repeating myself because I think it is important, Madam Chair, is that we had a procurement plan and we had a budget. Then we had COVID coming in mid-March, 2.5 months to the end of the financial year, and the budget was almost completed. The question that you are going to have to determine, Madam Chair, in the committee, for which I have the greatest respect, is whether or not the management at KEMSA acted prudently to be on the safe side, to have these commodities in place, because nobody had, indeed, nobody even now knows how long COVID is going to be lasting. We have stocks worth 6.2 billion shillings. You've said, and that is correct because you represent the people, that people still do not have masks. If we are allowed to offload the stocks that we have, there will be masks. The only question that to be asked, and this is the question we've been asking throughout, is there going to be any marketing, any trade loss? And yes, there's going to be a trade loss. I would like to request this committee to help us save the situation by offloading what we have so that the needs of the Kenya citizens are met, even as we discuss what trading losses there could be because of the market that has shifted pertaining to these commodities. So, am I willing to take responsibility, Honorable Professor? Yes, I'm willing to take responsibility. I'm willing to take responsibility as a chairman of the board, if it comes to taking responsibility. And I'm not going to pretend that I will take responsibility the moment this thing, it requires me to take responsibility. That I can assure you from where I am sitting.
Chair, very quickly.
Allow him to finish.
If you could allow me to
just
finish,
on that particular
then
point,
you could raise the
Let him
issues.
finish, kindly.
I want to say this, Madam Chair, that I've been a chairman of the board now for just about a year. And when COVID came, in or about March, we had done a lot of work, both of reforms and others at KEMSA. We have UHC, and the board met as ought to have met, and I want to assure you, Madam Chair, that this board is very proactive. And we have a relatively new board now. I am just about 1 year. The other 5 members are all of them new, except Dr. Mbuva, who sits as alternate to the PS, and the National Treasury representative of the PS. So we are a relatively new board, and we are very, very committed towards seeing reforms are done in KEMSA. And we are going through a very serious reformation. We're just finalizing our strategic plan, which we have done in conjunction with our global partners. First of all, the GOK, the government, our own government of Kenya, under which we are, and Global Fund and USAID, who are our partners in these matters. So we are not just sitting and watching. And KEMSA has, in the meantime, been growing. Dr. Manjari has told you, as has Mr. Karanja, the finance director, that we've grown from 2.2 billion to 4-point-something billion. That is growth. Then as we were settling in to deal with the reformation, COVID happened in or about March. And now it has just been about COVID since March. And the months of procurement were only those 2 months, 2.5 months of April and May actually, because there were no procurements in March, at least not much of them. So we have not been sitting back and watching. We have had meetings, and we know what is going on. But we as a board gave the management and told them this: you have to be prepared because of this COVID thing that has come now. And that one, I accept. The board told them to be prepared. Did we approve a bigger budget? No, we did not. No, we did not. There was no supplementary budget. Indeed, when we had board paper number 13, at which we were requested to allow an over-expenditure of 3.6 billion shillings to meet the liabilities because of the COVID-19 over-expenditure, the board declined to give that authority because, 1, we needed to have a proper explanation, and 2, because investigations were already going on, and it did not want to deal with figures that then somebody would say we're interfering with the investigations. So, Madam Chair, this board that I chair is a board that is willing to take responsibility should it be found that we have done anything outside the mandate of ourselves as the board. I came here last time. I took you through all the documents, and we did it candidly. And now I'm asking you, as a committee of health, which insists of this matter, and which will be able to make a decision on the matters that we have put before you. I'm asking you to look into the issues and recommend that we should dispose of the commodities that we are having for 6.2 billion shillings. A trade laws will be made, but in the meantime, those masks, those PPEs, and all those other things will be out there serving the citizens of Kenya who need them. I want you to understand, like I tried to make you to understand last time, that we cannot be able to sell those PPEs, etc., for the amounts of money we bought them for at that time, because the market has shifted. And because you honorable members, to confirm to me, and I challenged you, because you honorable members, to confirm to me, and I challenged you, because you honorable members, to confirm to me.
KEMSA DP03/2020-2021 for the supply of reusable masks. So then KNCCI responded to Kenya Medical Supplies Authority on tender number KEMSA DP03/2020-2021 for the supply of reusable masks to inform the authority the update specification for reusable face masks as received from the Ministry of Health on 3rd August 2020 via letter reference MOHDC 625/1. Now,
Madam Chair, if you look at Annex 2, there is a table. This is a price table as submitted to KEMSA. And due to the negotiations then we had initially with the previous specification that we had gotten from the Ministry of Health, our tender indicated that reusable face masks for children between 2 to 5 years, the quantity would be 750,000 at a unit cost of 37.5 Kenya shillings. This brought a net total price of 28,125,000. And then the reusable face masks for children between 6 to 12 years, again, the unit cost was 38.5 at a quantity of 750,000, which brings a net total price of 28,875,000. The reusable face masks for teens and adults, it was given as 6 million as quantity, and the unit price was 41.5, and the net total came to 249 million Kenya shillings. So a total price for those face masks is 306 million Kenya shillings. However, it's good to note, Madam Chair, that we shall still continue to negotiate, and we shall negotiate with our the local manufacturers, because some have different prices. Some are above the 41,000 or above the recommended price because of different issues that they have raised. But this we shall again sit with KEMSA. So the key requests, Madam Chair, is to ask or to request this committee under your leadership, Madam Chair, to intervene so that this process can be fast-tracked. I would want to tell you that to date, we have not signed any contract with KEMSA, neither have we received the 300 million as per the earlier agreement. However, this morning, we received a call from KEMSA detailing and requesting that we have a negotiation meeting tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So we would want to request this committee, Madam Chair, through you, through the chair, that as a private sector leadership, we call upon the leadership of Parliament for a joint and comprehensive post-COVID-19 recovery process and framework that is well tailored, coordinated to facilitate business recovery and livelihoods. We would want to request to work together to support progressive laws, legislation, and priority recommendations to government on future opportunities for local manufacturers and industrialization in Kenya. We would want the local manufacturers also to get equal opportunity in all government institutions. We would want local manufacturers to get equal opportunities, particularly in KEMSA, so that if they have 100 suppliers for a particular product, the local manufacturers should be given the preference. We would also want to request to develop recovery measures to revitalize export markets, financial support for trade and investment, and environment for job creation, particularly for youth and women as well. And we also request to provide support to help all businesses with essential support to facilitate recovery and means to operate and keep their employees and customers safe through the COVID-19. And therefore, in this regard, we submit that Kenyan National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has demonstrated its capability and commitment to ensuring a transparent and fair process in the support of local manufacturers. And since 12th of August 2020, we have not signed any document, and that should be on record. We have not received any amount of funds from KEMSA. It is then our humble request, Madam Chairperson and honorable members of the committee, to intervene and fast-track this process to ensure we meet the objectives of the government and the public-private partnership can be met, and at the same time, to make sure that we are supporting the local manufacturers, particularly those I mentioned, Mama Boga, hawkers, the Juakali artisans, those in fashion industry. They're all our members, and they have a right to do business in any institution in this country. We would also want, on the same platform, to request, Madam Chair, that you, through this committee, you request the National Assembly to formulate a policy that will support the entire private sector and protect business community. With those few remarks, I still do have, in case of any questions, I will be able to answer. But for that, I do submit.
Thank you for your submission. And we were lost as a committee because we thought this was meant to be an emergency, kind of a procurement, and we're supposed to fast track. Maybe you can tell us if the meeting you will have tomorrow morning with KEMSA will be a successful meeting. What timelines are we looking at to have these masks? And I've also noted in your submission that some counties have they are missing. I've seen there are a total of around 50 persons who have qualified, who have done your submissions. So if today a dressmaker or somebody at Kangari Market would want to also participate in this tender, is it closed? Or are you still reaching out? And how will you ensure that they reach to the specification that has been already approved by KEBS?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. On your first question on how our discussions for tomorrow, I would just want to confirm that we, as the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, have been ready. My committee, under the leadership of the Vice Chamber President, Dr. Eric Ruto, which is also the members, medics as well, have been working around the clock and waiting the day that we negotiate and sign with KEMSA. It reached a point that we could not go further because we needed that engagement with KEMSA. But I would want to confirm to this honorable committee, through the chair, that once the negotiations are in place between tomorrow and probably as early as possible, we have given a total timeline of 2 weeks for the country to receive those masks. On the second question about the number of samples we have received from counties, again, I had mentioned earlier, Honorable Chair, anyone behind. And we have sat with Kenya Bureau of Standards, and they have confirmed that they do have branches across the country, and they would also help us in capacity building these members so that they can also be able to understand on how they can make the samples and how they can meet the specifications. So once that is done, it comes tomorrow between us and them, then I believe that process will be escalated and we shall be able to meet our deadlines as well. But as we said again, through the National Governing Council and through the partnership we have with the Council of Governors, we shall work together to make sure that all people who are in that industry are also included, and more so during distribution, we shall work with those committees within the government and the agencies of the government to make sure that the right people, the right users will benefit from this program.
Thank you. I want to open it to members who would want to either comment or raise concerns. Dr. Nikal. Anybody else? Dr. Iseli and Honorable Owino, we finalize with Honorable Jagagwa.
Chair, thank you very much. Thank you, Chair of Chamber of Commerce. But let me tell you, we are a bit surprised. For us, when we met, we knew we were in emergency. And I think what we were expecting is that the ministry would get people already in the market who can produce, and you identify them. And we are very surprised that by now nobody has received our mask. It is clear that you took a longer view of developing capacity and developing industry. That's okay, but that's not what we expected. We expected to find people who are ready and get the products out. And let me say, we've just been with KEMSA, and we have expressed the same. So I will repeat the question of the chair. All these details, medical people, some of them are there. Medical people don't want all these details. The people are there, they are not sick, but they can be sick. If tomorrow you agree with KEMSA, what date are we going to be told all Kenyans that are vulnerable have got the masks that are available, and the matter comes to us that we have not covered everybody, more money is still needed, and more money can be again made available to the ministry so that people get masks. In the background of how developing the capacity for the future, that is good. But that is how the way we saw it. When we discussed this thing, I think it was in April when we discussed this matter. So delivery for the emergency, developing of systems and capacity, I think you can come. We can meet again later in the health sector. For example, my greatest passion is how we can reduce the cost of drugs in this country. Again, that I think will lie there. But those are things we can discuss. Now, we wanted masks like yesterday.
Thank you very much for that question, Honorable Nikal.
Maybe you can take a few, like 3 or 4, then they're actually only 4 members. I've seen 4 interests, so let's go for 1 round first.
Thank you, Chair.
Dr. Iseli?
Just following on what Dr. Nikal has just said, I heard the President of the Chamber of Commerce saying that once they finalize this, within 2 weeks, they'll have the masks available. But to me, that sounds like a promise that might not be fulfilled. Because if you expect them to actually do all those masks within 2 weeks and supply, then you're not talking of small manufacturers. You're talking of fairly big manufacturers to be able to meet that. So I think let's be realistic in our projections, because as Dr. Nikal said, we wanted these masks like yesterday. So let's be realistic in our projections so that we don't give false hope.
Thank you. Honorable Wina.
Chair, let me thank the Kenya Commerce and all the affiliates. In fact, you have very good ideas, because in this chamber we have been talking a lot about local manufacturers, because that builds our economy, that engages young people, Mama Mboga, and also it saves us from joblessness, which we realize in this country. But the whole thing is a buff on our face, because that was not what we appropriated this money for. It was for emergency, because we had a pandemic. And you may not be responsible for that. We may look into the ministry and the KEMSA, who talked to us here and appeared as if tomorrow meeting is just finalizing, and you are saying you have not even signed a contract. You don't know even how that contract will look like. So we are surprised, because the whole thing has been ping-ponging, in a way that is not responding to the needs in the country. By the way, those masks were supposed to help the very impoverished populations, including the vulnerables. And if you ask me who is the vulnerable members, they are those who make first contact with COVID patients or index patients. That could be community health workers, Nyumba Kumi, all those first responders. Before we go to that old mama who cannot afford to buy. So all these people do not have masks. If you ask these MPs, when you go to your constituency, you buy your own mask and take to them.
Honorable
And yet,
Owino, we need to we need to summarize, so go to your point so that we can be able to
that
move.
background was a little bit important to me with some passion. Now, if you were to give this in 2 weeks, you have two things, because now we are off emergency. How are you going to ensure we'll also get this tender? We'll also get this tender. What is your equitable distribution framework that you will use? And when you have already acquired, what is the framework for distribution? Or you will take them back to KEMSA for distribution? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Chagagwa.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Let me first take this opportunity to thank the President of the Chamber of Commerce Kenyan chapter for that succinct presentation. Now, Bwanangatia, I'm certain you've been following what has been happening in this country for the last 1 month in matters COVID, or the last 3 weeks. Not that we rely on media for information, but I'm certain you've been seeing what has been going on. You've heard from my previous members who have made their submissions that we appropriated 300 million for purposes of making of masks for the vulnerable. The CS, Honorable Mutai Kagwa, was here yesterday, he was here the last week, and yesterday was forming about his third time was appearing before us. And what he has told us is that they are in consultation, or they are going to give you that job, or they have given the job to the Chamber of Commerce, something close to that. Now, when I've listened to you, you're saying that there hasn't been any agreement entered into between you and KEMSA. Now that brings me to my question. Since this was a pandemic, and we were meant to buy, or the man was meant to buy masks for the vulnerable members of this society, how would you characterize KEMSA's action? Are they deliberately dragging their feet not to give you this job? Are they the lethargic? Or are they not concerned about the Kenyan people? Because as we sit here, talk about the 300 million. As you sit here, talk about the meetings you're going to have. As we sit here, you talk about the presentation you've made before them. Kenyans are dying. Kenyans have died because of the lack of a mask. Or is it that maybe your prices? You know, I hear you are quoting a price of 35 shillings per mask, a reusable mask, while we've been talking here about wastage of public funds. Because we're selling one, they're buying one mask at 700 shillings. Is it because of your prices that they are not willing to contract you, or the Chamber of Commerce? Because they will not make the profits that they would have wished to. Thank you.
Thank you. You can respond, Mr. Gatia.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I think I'd want to respond to the first question by Honorable Nyikal in terms of your question on timelines of masks. Again, I just said that we have been hoping to be called for these negotiations, which has not happened. However, the ministry, if you look at the documents that we have given, everything moved with speed, and we were anticipating that by now, everybody, all the vulnerable groups will be having the masks. If you go back to my presentation, I said that per day, already the manufacturers who have shown interest can be able to, they have a capacity of delivering per day 1.8 million. So we are saying in a week, actually, they can be able to manufacture. However, there's still another process of packaging. There's still another process of sanitizing those masks. And that's why I gave it 2 weeks. So for that, I'm saying we shall be able to meet those timelines. For the second question, in terms, again, I believe that is one and the same questions. We are looking at 2 weeks. And again, because of the support we are getting from the bigger manufacturers, we believe we shall be able to meet that deadline. There is a third question, Honorable Member, the local manufacturer and why we have not signed a contract. Again, here I've seen also a few challenges. When KEMSA was mandated to contact us, they did very quickly. The communication that is already before you shows you that we have been communicating with them. Unfortunately, because of the changes that have been at KEMSA, then the people who are there, this was new to them, I believe. But at the same time, we have been reaching out to KEMSA on a daily basis. We have been reaching out, but the response is that they are in Parliament or they are in other institutions trying to solve issues that are already at hand. For the fourth question, this is on how we can ensure what confirms or how we can ensure the framework for distribution. Again, here and according to the agreement with the Ministry of Health is that the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry will take lead and all masks will be provided to us as the Kenya National Chamber at our chapters in all 47 counties and then delivered to KEMSA. KEMSA will be doing the distribution. However, the negotiations for tomorrow will touch on the mode of distribution. Should those masks come from all counties to Nairobi, or should they go to the depots of KEMSA and distribution points, or otherwise? Then that way, the negotiation will be able to determine how the distribution will be made. But we, as the chamber, we are happy to offer any support in terms of distribution and to make sure that it goes to the right counties and to the right intended purpose. On Honorable Member, on your question, the fifth question, on about the agreement and how I would characterize KEMSA and also regarding the price of masks. And I'm happy because I'm saying Dr. Nyekal is here, he's a medic and he knows that the reusable mask cannot be used by doctors. That doctors require specific specifications for isolation centers, for ICUs, for wards, and at the same time for any COVID-related cases as they interact with the patients. So the reusable masks are there to support the vulnerable groups, and because of the budget again, you want that person to keep that mask for 6 months or more. They can use it a day or two and wash it and continue wearing that mask. So again, the prices that
they are reputable companies. Because when I see Mabunia's Construction Company Limited doing reusable masks, then I am hoping then you'll not be duped to be given just for sample case, and when the real work will be done. I've also seen another one, Tolu Cleaning Services, and they say they are renowned for producers of reusable face masks. So maybe it's a business name. I will not judge them on face value, but just be careful.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So that we give Kenyans quality, and of course we get value for money. So as you work with the KEMSA tomorrow, I hope then you can be able to sort out that the ministry can actually give you their plan of distribution, whether it's Interior or it's the Ministry of Health, so that then you know, for example, in Nairobi, then we need this number of masks, let them be produced in Nairobi. Then we'll have, the weight will be worth. But it would not make sense if the masks are made in Nairobi to be taken to Marsabit or Mombasa. Thank you, Chair.
Madam
Unless
Chair.
you have something else to say.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Madam Chair, yes.
Honorable
Madam Chair, I
Kuchini?
raised my hand.
Oh, I did see it.
Yes,
There's
okay.
something blocking
Yes,
me here.
thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, okay.
Proceed.
Madam Chair.
Proceed. Honorable Joyce, did you have something? It's okay. Let the Vice Chair goes first, and then you
Okay.
can give your comment.
Madam Chair, listening to the President of Chamber of Commerce, you know, Madam Chair, business people, they are supposed to be time conscious. But from the program that he has developed here today, Madam Chair, from the beginning, the first time they started engagement was on 23rd June. Up to today, the last communication was 12th August. That was back and forth, the engagement between Chamber of Commerce, Ministry, and KEMSA. Chairman, the President for Chamber of Commerce, it is only government that we associate with bureaucracy and laxity and communication breakdown. But I could see a lot of bureaucracy here, the back and forth. Whereas you are passing the blame to KEMSA, they've been also, as in a lot of time that has been taken by even KEMSA, by National Chamber of Commerce. Which brings now the big question. Why all the 3 months? And remember the money that was released, because it is 2.5 months. The money was for emergency. Do you know very well when it comes to the issue of emergency, it should not take more than 7 days. It should have taken 7 days. It should have been taken 1 day. If it comes to the issue of Sambo, it should not have taken 14 days the way you have taken. What you should have done is to come up with one Sambo, test it with Kenya Bureau of Standards, and then send it to the manufacturers, saying that this is the standardized mask that will be required for distribution. But now look here, you are falling into the same mess that we have now with other institutions like KEMSA. And then 2, we've raised concern here that your biggest challenge or bottlenecks in distribution on manufacturing of these masks is KEMSA. Then it brings me to the other question. You as the President of Chamber of Commerce, you know that the minister is there. This was a presidential directive for 2 reasons. One was to build capacity for your members. Build Kenya, buy Kenya. And then 2, ensure that there is face mask for protection. At that time when there was crisis, now it is 3 months. The same people, your members, they have not even gotten the money. You should have, today, the question here that everybody should be asking you is that why haven't you approached the cabinet minister, secretary, over this matter if there is bureaucracy at KEMSA? And then, when there is delay, it raises suspicion. Then again, was there bureaucracy in identification of the members? Was there negotiation and discussion on how much it is going to be what people are going to make? So then we give to this company, we give to this company, we are not going to give this company. And then lastly, assure the committee and Kenyans and your members in general, because I'm speaking also on behalf of many small traders and manufacturers, that you have put in place mechanism that is going to ensure free and fair identification of manufacturers. It should not be selective process where tomorrow there will be traders or manufacturers who will be demonstrating against the government saying this government did not consider us. And you know this has become the song in this country. This is anything that comes up, it is the president. Yet in this case, the president on his own then decided, I will send money to Kenya Chamber of Commerce. Then the Chamber of Commerce will use their own internal mechanism and framework to identify the companies which are going to do are going to manufacture face mask. So assure Kenyans and your members that it is going to be a free and fair process of identifying the manufacturers. I thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I hope you can respond in very brief words.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Let me respond to Honorable Kutuni. Your first question is whether we are time conscious. I have demonstrated without any doubt that we have attempted to reach out to KEMSA so that they can be able to fast track. I do understand and agree with you that on emergency basis, it should take the shortest time possible. And in terms of the samples, and you talked of 14 days, I just want to tell you that remember that this is new to everybody, including those local manufacturers. And therefore, they needed to be guided on what to do, what material to use, the specifications that will meet the required mask, whether it is actually to be, to let you know is that some of them delivered samples, but those samples were 1 ply. The recommendation was 3 ply. And therefore, those kind of specifications, sizes, the bands they need to use, the color, the marking, that took time. Remember, each sample had to be printed or embroidered, MOH, GOK. So that also takes a bit of time. They were also requested to bring the packaging. That also takes a bit of time. Remember, packing a mask, you need also the intervention of NEMA because of the plastic bags. That again takes a lot of time. And therefore, as we were waiting for this negotiation, because we saw the challenges our members are facing, and we wanted during the negotiations to request that using the new specifications that have been provided by KEMSA and the Ministry of Health, we can then just have one standardized sample that we shall give, including when we are issuing out the orders, we shall give to these local manufacturers. The other question is, yes, you've just alluded that, yes, this is a presidential directions, and we were trying to make sure that all these manufacturers are also supported. However, sometimes, Madam Chair, we do have no control of certain institutions. And therefore, when we try to make telephone calls and we are told to wait, we only wait. When we found and noted that this has taken far too long, yes, we did reach out to the Ministry of Health, and I believe they intervened. And that is why we were called this morning to go and fast track the process. And you've talked about the bureaucracy. You talked about KEMSA. Again, we have no control as the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And for that reason, we are asking this committee, and I will say this again, help us, the private sector, to put a policy framework, to formulate a policy that will support the private sector so that we mitigate all these problems we are seeing, all these gaps we are seeing, all these roadblocks we are seeing. We want to have a conducive environment for all businesses, for all those manufacturers. You can imagine the same local manufacturers you're talking about. They are already frustrated because they can also see that the time has taken far too long. Your last question, Honorable Kutuni, through the chair, is how do we assure traders of free and fair processes? Again, I want to confirm to you, Honorable Chair, that we have attempted at all times to communicate, to disseminate information through the members of the Fourth Estate who are here. And we have had several press conferences. Secondly, we have engaged our National Governing Council to also disseminate this information to everyone. And we are saying we have not closed. We are still reaching out. Please remember that not everybody wants to get into the business because they are not manufacturers, but we are encouraging them. There are those who feel they'll not be able to deliver because they don't have the capacity. And that is why we have come back to say, look, We, as the Kenya National Chamber, we have a program with the MasterCard Foundation and other institutions, financial institutions like Equity Bank, and who can come to support them. For this MasterCard Foundation, it is interest-free, and I believe we shall reach out to them to also take up, because we cannot pay them in advance. And therefore, we have a mechanism to make sure that we reach out to them and they take the resources available so that they can be able to deliver these goods on time. And therefore, we shall commit to you that this process shall be free and fair. We shall, at every time, every moment, we shall communicate through the partnership we have with the reputable companies and reputable media stations so that they can also disseminate that information to the public and so that they can be able to see exactly what you're doing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Members, I would want we end that one at that level. And if you have suggestions on how these members would assist the chamber, and especially on formulating policy framework, anytime you can reach out to any of our members of this house and we can be able to assist. We wish you all the best in the negotiations, and thank you very much.
Honorable Chair.
Members, it's almost 5. We have 3 more, so kindly. I think that matter we have dispensed it kindly. So I'd request the members from Chamber of Commerce to take leave so that we can be able to take the next submission. And the next submission is from Crown. So as we prepare, I don't think you need to come to the front. I request the team from Crown Healthcare to introduce themselves.
Madam Chair, should I seek your intelligence? Madam Chair, with this report that has been tabled,
By?
The joint report by...
The chamber?
Yes, by Megascope, Crown, and is it they are going to present it jointly or?
No.
I seek your advice, Madam Chair.
I think there's several submissions. Crown has done their own submission.
Yes.
So each and every one will do their own presentation. Some might be very short, actually.
Okay.
If members, we go direct to the point. We don't over-explain. We might be able to save a lot of time, and we can be done within the next 1 hour. So that means we'll be done by around 6. But if we extend this, we'll be here up to 7. So let's just be conscious of time. I request the person in charge of Crown Healthcare to introduce yourself and introduce your team.
Madam Chair Lady, honorable members, my name is Shilan Takrar, and I'm the CEO of Crown Healthcare. With me today, I have in our team Mr. Francis Muthiani, who is the head of operations, Crown Healthcare. I also have with me Mr. Brian Sitima, who's in-house legal counsel, and Mr. Dennis Mosata, who's a legal counsel. Madam Chair, we are here in response to your invitation letter dated 1st of September 2020.
Just hold on, because we have entered into a new session and I need to do an explanation on why we have the 3 companies. 2 of the companies, all of you have traded with KEMSA, and we had to take a sample of the companies that have traded with KEMSA with the documents that we have. Some of you are at different stages of procurement, and specifically Crown Healthcare. And I want to apologize because the letter that came to you and Megascope, there was a wording that the committee is aware that your companies were appointed and authorized by KEMSA to clear Jack Ma. So that one was, it was not properly written. So I'd like to withdraw that statement and say there were allegations that your company was involved in clearance of Jack Ma's foundation. I think that was something I'd like to apologize. That came from our clerk of the National Assembly, and that one I want to take out that part of that we are aware. There was allegation that your company was involved in clearing of Jack Ma Foundation, but you will clear that. So you can go ahead. I just needed to do that clarification before we start this meeting. Proceed.
Madam Chair and honorable members, we are here in response to your invitation dated 1st of September 2020, reference NA DCS Health /2020-081, requiring us to appear before you and make submissions on the following two issues. Firstly, the role played by our company, Crown Healthcare, in clearing the Jack Ma Foundation COVID-19 supplies from Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And two, a detailed report on what our company, Crown Healthcare, supplied to KEMSA since March 2020, and what was the procurement process undertaken. I'd firstly like to give you a bit of a background on Crown Healthcare. Crown Healthcare has been in the business of provision of total hospital solutions, namely supply of medical, laboratory equipment, and pharmaceuticals since 1998.
Sorry to interfere, but I would like you properly wear your mask.
Mm-hmm.
You properly wear your mask. Just pull up your mask.
Thank you.
Thank you. Proceed.
And therefore, with experience, expertise, and the capacity spanning for more than 20 years. I'd like to state at this juncture that we also have a team of more than 350. Madam Chair, it'll pleasantly surprise you to learn that some of your current members are former sales reps of the company. We have been in this business for long enough. This is not our first business. Our major clientele is mainly the private and the mission sector, with minimal supplies to government institutions. Madam Chair Lady and honorable members, we are pleased to make the following submissions in response to the two issues raised in your letter as follows. Firstly, the alleged role in the purported clearance of the COVID-19 Jack Ma Foundation donations. Madam Chair, honorable members, the allegation that our company were involved in the clearing or in any way handling the Jack Ma Foundations is false and defamatory against us as a company. We totally reject and refute the allegations leveled against our reputable company as utter falsehoods without any factual...
Madam Chair, sorry to interrupt the gentleman is making his presentation.
And also properly put on your mask.
I would seek your directions.
Yes.
We were here yesterday when we invited the CS,
yes,
Minister of Transport. He was not able to attend in person, and he sent the cars, Honorable Senator Reusable, this morning, who actually clarified that all the Jack Ma items, donations, equipment, name it, are actually cleared by a government agency. The letter that you've read out to the parties is to the effect that there were allegations, or maybe rumors, but the chair was very candid, there were allegations. Now, if we were certain, and the CAS was able to explain to this committee and to Kenyans that the goods were actually cleared by a government agency, Madam Chair, is there any need of us to sit here to interrogate that statement and they are just rumors? They are just allegations? We do not, sorry Madam Chair to interrupt you, but Parliament should not legislate or seem to work in vain. That point was explained, and there was not a single item that we were told was cleared by Megascope or the other companies.
Honorable Jagagwa, you'll allow, all these letters went out at the same time,
yes,
including the clarification that you're alluding to. And so since I've seen the explanation is long, let them just finish for the purposes of records that also the companies came and appeared before us. And I've seen how he's going. It's just summarized. Let him finalize.
Okay,
it's actually 2 or 3 statements. Now, if you didn't interrupt, we'll be done with that
Chair,
matter.
I'm saving you time and this committee time.
You are now wasting
the company
We're
is
wasting more time here.
The company
Exactly.
is represented
We're
by
wasting more
It's
time.
all right.
Council.
Honorable Jagagwa, let him proceed and finish so that it goes on record.
A single word would say, we never cleared, and we are done.
Honorable Jagagwa, allow him just to proceed. Proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to carry on. As a matter of fact, so we've totally rejected and refute the allegations leveled against our reputable company as utter falsehoods and without any factual basis. As a matter of fact, we have instituted legal action against the media, against Nation Media House and individuals that published and disseminated this outrageous allegations in the first instance in a purported expose aired in local TV. Copies of the legal complaints are enclosed in the documents submitted to this committee. For the record and clarity, we wish to say as follows. Our company is not in the logistics, clearing and forwarding industry as alleged or at all. Our company was not involved in the alleged clearing of the Jack Ma Foundation donations as alleged or in any matter whatsoever. Our company was not and has never been involved in the clearance of any consignment and donations on behalf of KEMSA or, for that matter, any other entity whatsoever. The allegations against our company are unfortunate, false, and malicious. This is all we have to say in response to the allegations on clearing of the Jack Ma Foundation COVID-19 donations before this honorable committee. Madam Chair and honorable members, I will go on to the next question.
Proceed.
Which was particulars of our company's supplies to KEMSA as from March 2020. I would like to categorically state that we have not, as Crown Healthcare, supplied any PPE to KEMSA. Madam Chair, however, since March 2020, our company have supplied 2 items in relations to the COVID-19 pandemic interventions under the following contracts, whose particulars are as follows. Tender number KEMSA DP 25-219-2020, supply of ventilators valued at 12 million shillings. Tender number KEMSA DP 73, 2019-2020, supply of sterile gloves, surgical, valued at approximately 38 million shillings. Again, all documentations have been submitted to this committee. As I mentioned, we have prepared a detailed submission of both the tenders for your reference. Compliance with legal provisions. Madam Chair and honorable members, first and foremost, we state that our dealings with KEMSA in discharge of the aforementioned contracts were in compliance and in adherence to the express and implied provisions and principles of Article 227 of the Constitution, which provides that when a state organ or any other public entity contracts for goods or services, it shall do so in a manner that is transparent, competitive, and cost-effective. We do confirm and has demonstrated in our submissions that our prices for all the items supplied were indeed competitive and at the prevailing market prices, and thus in compliance with the constitutional requirements. I may add that the surgical sterile gloves have actually indeed increased in price since the supply was made. We confirm that our dealings with KEMSA have been in strict compliance on our capacity, qualifications, and eligibility to submit bids by dint of. We are duly eligible to submit bids before a procurement entity in accordance with Section 55 PPDA. We have not engaged in any inappropriate influence or corrupt practices as spelled out under Section 65 and 66 of the PPDA, which would render us ineligible to bid. We have not been debarred from participating in any procurement proceedings as provided by Part 4, in particular Section 41 of PPDA Act. And lastly, all our quoted prices are based on competitive and fair market prices. The procurement process, Madam Chair, you're aware that His Excellency the President, by virtue of the Executive Order 2 of 2020, issued on the 28th February 2020, declared COVID-19 a national pandemic. Based on what we were convicted of the fact that any emergency procurement related to COVID-19 would not follow the normal procurement process, as it would be about saving lives. In participation of such procurement, we satisfied all criteria under provisions of Section 91, 92, 103 of the PPDA Act in relation to direct procurement legally recognized and as an alternative method of procurement. We would further like to state as follows, that there was an urgent need for the government to procure various medical items in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we had the capacity and expertise to meet such needs. Our company is one of the few well-known, reputable medical suppliers in the industry and in the region, as previously stated, having provided medical equipment and solutions to clients for more than 20 years. We have maintained a reputation of supplying quality medical equipment, consumables at fair prices within the market. We were probably one of the few companies that were able to supply ventilators and gloves and had those stocks in the country at that time. From our submissions, the committee will note that the ventilators and gloves supplied to KEMSA were part of the consignment of assorted medical items which we had already imported in October 2019. All the documentations are in this submission. Our prices were competitive and comparative to the market prices. Indeed, we have, as part of our submissions, provided documentation of similar supplies to private hospitals around the same period. In fact, this morning, we have again supplied a similar model of ventilator supplied to KEMSA to a private entity at the same price. I state again, all the documentations have been provided. On the gloves, we have similarly provided documents to show that the prices around the same period supplied to private entities were competitive to the prices quoted to KEMSA. The current prices of this commodity are still rising. The lead time for delivery has gone up from 30 to 300 days. It is imperative for the record for the committee to note that we are duly registered and licensed by the Pharmacy and Poisons Board to import and supply medical devices and consumables. Documents to support the same are duly enclosed in our submissions on the two items that we have supplied to KEMSA. We have the production registration certificates duly issued as follows. For the ventilators, Pharmacy and Poisons Board registration number 14, issued on the 6th of June 2019 and expiring on the 31st of December 2020. Secondly, for the sterile surgical gloves, Pharmacy and Poisons Board registration number 1826, issued on the 13th of November 2019, expiring on the 31st of December 2020. Clearly, from the foregoing, the committee can take note of the fact that we did not premeditate to benefit in any way from the COVID-19 pandemic, as this is our normal course of business. In fact, we played our role of assisting to respond to the emergency as we would have sold the same items in the open market at the same prices and without the resultant delays in payment and attendant inconveniences. We supply quality certified items, installed and commissioned the ventilators at the Kenyatta National Hospital, and we further went ahead to train as many users possible on the use of this equipment. In our submission, we have provided the installation job cards, photos of the actual training of the medical personnel, a schedule of the names and designations of the personnel trained. The committee should take note that the supply and the installation of this life-saving equipment was done at the peak of the pandemic, and we are sure, due to our timely intervention, we played a part in saving numerous lives of our fellow citizens. Madam Chair, as it now stands, despite having supplied the equipment to KEMSA, installing and servicing the ventilators, our company has still yet to be paid by KEMSA. The comparative invoices provided in relation to the private sector supplies have all been duly settled. We fully support the probe of this committee and any other investigative agencies. We implore on this honorable committee to get to the bottom of the matter and leave no stone unturned in establishing the truth. It will be instructive for the source of these allegations to table any documentary evidence they may have to this honorable committee. Thank you, Madam Chair and honorable members, for giving us the opportunity to set the record straight and to enable us to table the facts as they are in relation to Crown Healthcare Limited. Thank you.
Thank you for your submission, and I request that you just hold on. We go to Megascope, and you can do a summary also, so that you just answer straight. You don't have to go through the entire document, but highlight what is important. And Megascope, introduce yourself and your team.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. My name is Richard Ngatia. I am the Managing Director of Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited.
Good evening, Madam Chair and honorable members. My name is Reni Nyando Lupalo, the General Manager, Megascope Healthcare. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair. My name is Irene Mwangi. I'm Head of Department, Sales and Marketing, Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited.
Madam Chair, honorable members, my name is Njoroge Regero, Advocate for Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited.
Good evening, my name is Claire Mwangi, Advocate for Megascope Healthcare Limited.
Good evening, my name is Dorothy Okello. I work for Megascope Healthcare as the Chief Administrator.
We can proceed, Megascope.
All right, thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm here to respond to two questions that were sent to us during the invitation for today. And therefore, Madam Chair, we are in receipt of your letter regarding one of the subjects which involved the Jack Ma's Foundation COVID-19 supplies, clearance, and supply of other COVID-19 related items. And therefore, on invitation through the chair of this Honorable Departmental Committee of Health, we are here to respond on the allegations that have maliciously dragged Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited name into the alleged disappearance of Jack Ma Foundation donation to Kenya. So the invitation we received indicated that your committee is aware that our company was appointed and authorized by KEMSA to clear the Jack Ma's consignment for Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. But I am glad, Madam Chair, because you have corrected and you have actually confirmed it was erroneous in your invitation. It should not have read aware. Therefore, we wish to introduce Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited as a supplier and distributor of medical equipment and hospital disposables since its inception in the year 2002. Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited has gained unmatched reputation for our knowledge of vital hospital equipment used.
What is out of order?
Actually, there's nothing out of order, but I'm seeking your directions. You've just been served with a document which is a notice of motion, and at the end of it, I've seen a ruling by Duranera J admitting this matter for hearing. Interpart is a thing on for directions on 10th of September. Madam Chair, going by the letter that the clerk sent to Megascope to appear before us and shed light on matters of JACMA equipment clearance or clearing, and on a casual perusal, Madam Chair, of the notice of motion and the grounds thereto.
Which notice are you referring to?
Notice of motion, Madam Chair, a court document. It is a civil suit number E094 of 2020.
Oh, okay.
At Milimani Law Court, Civil Division. So, Madam Chair, on a casual perusal of the grounds in support of this notice of motion, it's very clear that what Megascope is here, what we have called them here to come and shed light on, is actually again being arbitrated to at the High Court. So, Madam Chair, with your kind permission, I would wish to refer you and this committee to the ruling that was delivered by the Honorable Speaker a while back. A minute, Madam Chair. The ruling that was delivered by Honorable Justin Muturi about a similar matter, that a petition that had been, I wish Moyondi would let me discuss with Madam Chair or put my points across without interference. A ruling that was delivered by Honorable Justin Bidan Muturi a while back in a normal similar matter, that was a civil appeal number 33 of 2016, being a Commission of Customs Services versus Bidco Oil Refineries Limited. A matter had been referred to the Labour Committee, and an issue of subjudice was raised. And the Speaker was very clear and categorical. You may discuss, the Committee of Labour may discuss any matter that had been referred by Honorable Judy Jomo to the Labour Committee. Safe, and mark my words, you should not discuss matters that will be canvassed in court, so that this Parliament or its committees do not get into matters that are being litigated by parties in the High Court. And that is the basis of the rule of subjudice. So that two arms of government are not litigating on one matter. And now I seek your directions. A minute,
Madam Chair.
Honorable Ligero, a minute. Through the Chair. I'm seeking
Honorable
your direction.
Chagagwa, yeah, it
I'm
just
seeking
goes
your
straight to the
directions.
point, yes.
I want to lay down the basis of my, for you to make a ruling, Madam Chair.
Yes,
So,
proceed.
having, if we were to discuss, if we were to sit as this committee and discuss these matters, which are already again in court, we'll be guilty of the rule of subjudice. Now I'm seeking your direction. Is it fair for us as a committee to discuss that matter, which is again being canvassed at the High Court?
I think,
That's it.
Honorable Jagagwa, we've already had an earlier submission, and this matter we have discussed it, not even today, even when the ministry came. It's a matter of public interest. We are the people's representative. We are not here to make a ruling. And there is a submission, and that's why I told and asked the person presenting from Megascope to just go straight to the point. The question was, did you not supply, were you involved in the clearance? And I think with the Crown Health, it was very clear. That doesn't stop us, because we are not here to make a ruling now. So I plead that we proceed. And I also want to ask Mr. Ngatia to be brief to the point. Just answer the question as it was asked, and then we proceed, because that's not the only matter that we call Megascope to come and discuss. Megascope is also a supplier at KEMSA. The same way Crown Health has done, will still go through the same. So,
with your kind permission, Madam Chair, could I come in, please, on the issue of that pending suit?
Okay.
In fact, I'm specifically here to address the committee on that suit, because I am the one litigating in the High Court, and arising out of the very adverse allegations that were made by NTV, we have instituted that civil case, A94 of 2020. It is under very active prosecution. The judge, as you will see in our bundles, there's an order that has been made and directing the parties to respond within 7 days, and we go back on the 10th of this month to argue that matter. The effect is that in your standing orders, number 89, that order kicks in and debars the National Assembly or any of its committees from discussing anything that is a subject of pending litigation. In particular, 89.2 says, a matter shall be considered to be subjudice when it refers to active criminal or civil proceedings, and the discussion of such matter is likely to prejudice its fair determination. The allegations, Madam Chair, that gave rise to the defamation suit are the very, very same matters that are before your committee. It was alleged that we were involved in clearing of goods, that we received the Jack Ma goods that were not accounted for. And those are the very, very same issues that are being investigated here. I agree with Honorable Njagagwa that there is that danger then of a conflict between the court that is going to hear and determine this matter and this committee. And I think we had a professional duty to draw your attention to the existence of that suit. The bundle is there. Ultimately, you will have to give us directions as to how to proceed. It is a fine balancing act because, yes, there is public interest. You want to raise questions that arise out of the dealings to do with a very serious issue to do with COVID-19. But at the same time, you have the subjudice rule that exists to ensure that there is separation of powers and we are not prejudiced or embarrassed in court because of what might be said here. So mine was to draw your attention to that, even as you direct how they should proceed.
I think when the director was doing the presentation, would have raised, if you're not comfortable, saying yes or no. Because as I've said, this matter is there out of public interest. We are not here to prosecute it and say you are guilty or not guilty. We only ask for submission. So it's a simple yes or no, and we proceed because there are other matters that we have asked Megascope, not just about the Jack Ma. So as simple as that, Director, if you're comfortable, you can go ahead. If you're not comfortable, you say you wish to skip because you have gone to court because of that matter, and then we go on.
And Chair, before even Madam Chair, you go that direction. Madam Chair, we have an issue. Madam Chair, Njagagwa is a member of the committee. And Madam Chair, I think it is fair. It is fair for the public. We are the representative of the people. And even if as a member want to protect the people appearing in the committee, I think it is better to do it in a clever manner. Just not to do it in that, Madam Chair, anyone who is a friend to Megascope, including their lawyer, they will appreciate that the committee is sitting to listen to their issues. And then two, Madam Chair, there are two issues here. There is the public court in this country which condemn people, make judgment, and find people guilty without getting even facts. And then there is now the legal process where you prove that you are guilty. And I think it is this mob justice that is being done by the public sometimes, such a judgment between the parties, quote unquote, accused and Parliament, which is doing investigation, provide a robust platform for these companies to tell the public what actually happened. I can imagine a situation where we say that we are letting Megascope to go just because of a matter that is in court. What is public going to expect? They can make their own conclusion. So I will appeal to Megascope to, for once, to ignore the matter that is in court. Yes, the ruling, the standing orders, all those issues are there. But for the public, I will appeal that, please, Nangatia, Your Excellency, you ventilate on this matter in the floor of this House.
And I said it's a choice. Mr. Gatia, if you feel that this will jeopardize the process in court, you can decide to do so. But if you just want to say a simple yes or no, we are also on this process. We met the ministry. I think Health, the Crown, they were very, they had a chance to express themselves. So I don't think there's any jeopardy, because you're not here to make a ruling. You're only doing a presentation. After that, we as a committee will sit, we'll have to table a report to Parliament. But the fact that your case is in court doesn't stop us from asking, and doesn't stop the public from asking those hard questions.
Chair, may I add my voice here? Megascope, you have an opportunity. You either take it or leave it.
Madam Chair, I think let me just continue with my presentation. But I've noted your concerns, and I've noted the concern of my legal counsel, Manajeroge Rigero. So it is also important, honorable committee members, through the chair, that the same members of the public should be able to know this Megascope Kenya, Healthcare Kenya Limited is. And it is good just to introduce ourselves as a supplier and distributor of medical equipment and hospital disposable since the year 2002, like I had mentioned earlier. And Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited has gained and matched a reputation for our knowledge for vital hospital equipment used in critical care and anesthesia machines, radiology, central sterilization units, ophthalmology, dentistry, laboratory, physiotherapy, and electrotherapy equipment, to name but a few. So just to mention also a few of our customers, who include also KEMSA, is the government public hospitals, some of which are Kenyatta National Hospital, Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, Jomo Kenyatta University Hospital, Ministry of Health, and also the private hospitals as well. Namely, we do have, and we do also supply to Aga Khan University Hospital. We also engage with the Kenya Red Cross, Medical Essential Supplies, who are MEDS, African Development Bank, Ministry of Education, Nairobi Hospital, Mata Hospital, Gertrude's Children's Hospital, St. Mary's Mission Hospital, Elgon View Hospitals. If I continue, then we shall leave here in the next 3 to 4 hours. So I want to say that besides the above-mentioned institutions, we also sell to private retailers as well across these counties of this country, beautiful country, Kenya. And our scope of business and operations has witnessed exponential growth from distribution of medical equipment to capacity building, with an objective to see that those in the medical fraternity, specifically biomedical engineers, become more adept in their skills. We, as Megascope Healthcare, have an already confirmed training center. This training center has also been is a center of excellence for both East and Central Africa, where we do train these biomedical engineers, radiographers, radiologists, and they come for this capacity building. So Megascope has also partnered with globally renowned brands such as Mindray Shenzhen in China, Neosoft Medical Systems in China, Tutnauer in Israel, Cavo Dental in Germany, Stefanix in France, Ahmed in China, and many other companies including US, UK, Europe, South Africa, Turkey, and also Pakistan. I would now wish to respond just to raise concerns on the question of the JACMA issues, and we wish to be very categorical and clarify that Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited has never been registered as a clearing agent. I want to repeat that. Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited has never been registered as a clearing agent of any sort, and as such, does not have the mandate to clear any consignments. Further, Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited has never been engaged by any government agency nor KEMSA to clear any COVID-19 related consignments, including the donations from Jack Ma. Be therefore informed that we did not clear the Jack Ma donated COVID-19 cargo and therefore have no further statement to this, as we are pursuing the matter through the court of law, as it has been alluded by our counsel, the lawyer, Joroge Rigero, and I'm here by my legal counsel to confirm the same, that the answer is no, we did not clear. I do want to also respond to your second question, which you asked a detailed report on what Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited supplied to KEMSA since March 2020 and what was the procurement process undertaken. Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited has been a supplier again since the year I mentioned, and we have grown in our client base, being a reliable supplier of quality healthcare products, of medical equipment in Kenya, and also providing solutions and turnkey projects. Among our clients is the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, that is KEMSA, that upon detection of the first case of COVID-19 in Kenya on 12th March of 2020, our clients in healthcare industry started their infection prevention and readiness to attend to patients with COVID-19. And among the preparedness was the urgent procurement of personal protective equipment that include coveralls with shoe covers, medical goggles, KN95, face masks, natural gloves, and face shields as well, and not forgetting ventilators. The items were sourced both as separate items and as a complete kit. The nature of items have not been regular medical supplies, led to KEMSA seeking samples from various suppliers, and in this case, Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited, which was contacted by KEMSA requesting submission of any samples that were available for quality checks to enable KEMSA determine if they would meet their specifications that guided quality assurance. And upon quality checks of the samples and sample acceptance, we were issued with a commitment letter dated 17th March 2019, asking us to deliver available quantities on delivery notes. We were also issued with a pre-inspection quality report of PPE kits that confirmed the samples we submitted of various PPEs were acceptable. We also received a distress call on urgent need for a ventilator to rescue a patient who had been admitted in Musambweni Level 5 Hospital on 23rd March 2020 with COVID-19 and was getting respiratory distress. On this, we had an available unit of a ventilator, and given the life-saving nature of the need, we were tasked to deliver the ventilator via flight to Musambweni to rescue the patient from distress call. Honorable Chair, I'm trying to demonstrate that we as Megascope Healthcare fraternity put our lives on the line to try and save lives in this country. The said ventilator was dispatched under delivery note number 22119 on the procurement process followed in supply of COVID-19 items to KEMSA. Upon establishing that we had the capacity to deliver on the COVID-19 related items, which we had communicated to KEMSA through samples submission, the direct procurement process was followed, and this is the chronology of events I just want to take you through, Madam Chair. One is the letter of intent to supply at the stated selling prices, which is, of course, in one of the submissions. Commitment letter to supply urgently required items specifying the quantity and delivery timeline. Number 3 was we delivered on delivery notes. And 4 was upon completion of delivery, we received invitation to tender for supplied goods. We then, number 5 is tender bids were submitted and negotiations were conducted by KEMSA, which are also minuted. Number 6 was award notification indicating negotiated prices that were issued, and letter of acceptance was issued in responses to the award notification. We were issued with contracts that we signed at the time for each awarded tender. And the number 9 is local purchase order against each tender was also issued. Number 10, invoice to KEMSA was generated and submitted. Advice was to be issued to us on every outstanding payment. Number 12 is for items required after sales support. We follow up ensuring we install, commission, and also train the users on usage of equipment, including wearing the PPE kits. The COVID-19 pandemic brought about disruption of business and by extension the supply chain. So given that the items required were not regular supplies, we had to source all our supplies from China, who are the main global suppliers. And because the rule of demand and supply, production of items was hampered by safety measures, regulation, and only a few manufacturers were left in production. Global lockdown rendered limited air transportation. And accordingly, both the manufacturers and airlines adjusted their prices upwards. Of importance to note is the cost of air freight increased from $10 per kilo to $29 per kilo. One, medical supplies. We have delivered COVID-related items as per the commitment letters and contracted signed. We wish to clarify that the following receipt of commitment letters that indicated quantities to deliver, Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited pursued among the long-term overseas suppliers to determine who among them was able to supply an urgency on urgency basis. And therefore, Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited settled on a non-medical company limited who had the items we needed available, albeit in piecemeal, due to the global shortage of both raw material and finished goods, coupled with a spike in demand for COVID-19 related items, especially PPEs. We further liaised with our other OEMs for supply of ventilators, and upon receipt of commitment letters, we immediately embarked on importation, which entails application of importation documents through the oversight authorities. Given the nature of the urgency, we were compelled to use the fastest available means to ship the consignments through chartered aircrafts and fastest direct flights. However, it's important to note that the consignments were shipped, airlifted, and delivered as the contractual obligation. And upon arrival, all shipments were delivered to our warehouses for quality checks, analysis, before delivery to KEMSA. Though we have fully complied and delivered on some of the commitments, Megascope Healthcare has not been paid to date. The delay in payment is a constraint to our cash flow and as such has affected our operations. We would like to bring to the attention of this Honorable Health Committee that we were not only selling to KEMSA, but to private market as well. Just to name a few, we also supplied PPE kits to Nairobi Hospital at the same prices, and some even above the prices of KEMSA. In fact, it took us a long time to agree to supply KEMSA because of the constraint of prices at the time. We also supplied the Aga Khan University Hospital and also MEDS, who is the Mission for Essential Drugs and Supplies. So they also bought supplies from us as well. We did also supply to AMREF as well. And to date, we still sell ventilators, we still sell beds and COVID-related items to most of the counties and the private hospitals in this country. Madam Chair, it is my duty now to request this Honorable Committee, because Megascope Healthcare Kenya Limited has been adversely mentioned among few companies, about 8 in total, 12 companies. It is well to my knowledge, Madam Chair, that we have more than 60 companies, if not 100, that participated in tender at KEMSA during this COVID-19 pandemic. And to date, we still don't know the list of those companies, but we know the list of 8 companies. I would want, Madam Chair, because we are here, if it is possible that we could also be able to know who are these other suppliers. We do know them. We know that they are able. We know that they are competent. But why single out on 8 or 12 companies? We want to know what kind of witch hunt that is there. And earlier I spoke, and I'm speaking now as a private a businessman, that today we are hurting not only established businesses, but also, remember, this COVID-19 is still with us. Today we know the government of Kenya is seeking to get some vaccines. I am sure, double sure, that the government does not do business. Where do you expect to buy these commodities, the vaccine? Isn't it the same companies you criminalize out here that they are criminals and they're dealing with scandalous processes? These are the same companies you will come to at the time, the hour of need. And therefore, Madam Chair, I would want your protection from this honorable committee and also to the National Assembly to protect the private sector, to prevent businesses. I will tell you for a fact that today, any country, any foreign country will not be willing at the moment to come and invest here. It has been a huge fight for us, those companies that we have partnered with them, to try and invite them so that we can come and also pitch tent in terms of manufacturing of medical devices, and also in terms of making sure that we have plants that can also be able to generate equipment for the region. It has become that difficult, Madam Chair. So for me, I do want, before I submit, to also ask our General Manager, Reni Rupalo, also to support my argument if he has any.
Thank you very much. Through Madam Chair, mine will be very brief. I'll just mention in terms of capacity building and knowledge transfer. It is indeed noted that this equipment which were imported were rare and different, but we've been doing them. However, after we have delivered this equipment, apart from the masks which don't need training, they're life-saving and they continue doing. As my managing director explained, we actually did not just deliver, install, and leave. We actually deliver, install, train, and commission, and do refresher training. Madam Chair, through your seat, I can actually confirm, like yesterday, we had a refresher training of ventilators in Olkalau. The same that we delivered to KEMSA, and then KEMSA distributed, and we went to install and train. We've done that in Makueni, we've done that even in Kijabe. So this is a continuous process we have done, not only for COVID, but for other projects that we have done across board in this country. Thank you.
Thank you. You can switch off your microphone if you're done with your submission.
So, Madam Chair, thank you very much for giving us that opportunity, and I submit.
Thank you. And just to put it on record, I don't think this committee has criminalized anybody. We are actually trying to unravel and find out the truth.
Madam Chair,
yes,
I meant this committee to intervene, and also through the National Assembly, to have policies that will protect us, not to be criminalized. We don't see how businesses in Kenya can be criminal, and especially local entrepreneurs are criminalized. We do have so many companies in this country and foreign companies working in this country. We have never had one being criminalized. But on the same tender, you hear the local company has been brought down by either those people who have certain issues or who actually have some grievances. So we are requesting that this committee to intervene and see it that we have a conducive environment. That was all, Madam Chair.
thank you. And thank you for your submission. We will quickly go to shop and buy. One of the reasons why we picked the two companies, I think I explained earlier, and for shop and buy, if you're here, I would like you to introduce yourselves. We had categories of the companies also that had supplied, and the CR12s were not available. Remember, we received the documents. So one of your company, by the time we received the presentation, the CR12 was not available. So introduce yourself and the team, and just go straight to answering the question. I don't want to go through it again. Don't go to we received the letter. We know that by now.
Thank you, Madam Chair and honorable members. My name's James Chelule, representing Shop and Buy Kenya Limited. With me is our company lawyer, Anthony Kibrono.
Madam Chair, my name is Anthony Kipron. I'm the advocate for Shop and Buy. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Proceed. Just introduce your company. Are you just the two of you?
Now, I will do it in brief. I think most of the what I wanted to mention, my other competitors have mentioned.
Okay,
I just want to mention what we do at Shop and Buy. We are a business, limited liability, registered in Kenya, dealing with medical equipment, farm machinery, household, among other equipments. So I will be brief on our deliveries, which we did with KEMSA.
Just for the records, when was your company registered?
On 14th of February, 2020.
14th February 2020?
Yes.
Okay. Proceed.
Yeah, between the period early March and April, end of April, we were among the first companies to actually wholesale and sell all COVID products, starting from masks, PPEs, and other medical equipments, including beds, I mean hospital beds. And our offices are basically here in Nairobi, and we have branches across Kenya. So I wanted to start to say on April 29, 2020, we wrote a letter of intent to KEMSA that we had the capacity to deliver 100,000 complete PPE kits and another 100,000 K95 masks. On 30th April 2020, we received a commitment letter from KEMSA accepting our requests. On the same month, we started procuring the balances of what we didn't have by that period, and we managed to airlift most of our equipment, most of our PPEs, most of our kits, which included face masks, goggles, K95, among others. On 19th April 2020, we did another request, an extension letter to KEMSA. Because of the time limits, we had challenges with the airlines. We had issues with clearance of our goods, and they did accept our extension. And between 1st June and 10th July, we did all the supplies as per the commitment letters. And Madam Chair and honorable members, I want to maybe reiterate that since then, our company has not been called by KEMSA to do the tendering process, and therefore we've received no payments from KEMSA. I think mine is as brief as that. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, honorable members.
Thank you for being brief, and I think I'll just start with you because you are brief. And then I'll ask members to just also be brief as we ask these questions. So you've indicated that you have delivered your items to KEMSA.
Yes, Madam Chair.
When did you deliver?
I delivered. You want to mention or I give you the dates?
It's
or?
okay. You can just note the question is when did you deliver? And you have also indicated that since you delivered your items,
Yes.
that KEMSA has not come back to you for negotiation.
Yes.
So as a businessman, are you worried if KEMSA today tells you they are no longer interested in your goods?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'm really worried.
So, you will answer that.
Yeah.
And also I think the similar case with Megascope. Now that Megascope, that you gave first the letter, let me just be sure. Letter of intent to supply at the stated selling price. I would like you confirm to this committee that the commitment letter to supply that you were given by did have stated price or not. The last one from me to Megascope, you've indicated that you have not been paid by KEMSA. And we have some document that the PS allowed KEMSA to spend money that was meant for World Bank. So would you kindly confirm whether there was any initial payment that was done? Because in our document, the first one that the ministry authorized, your company features some of the one of the companies that was meant to be paid. That's all. I'll go to members so that they can just ask a round of questions and finalize. Honorable Dr. Eseli and Honorable Joyce, Honorable Jagagwa, Honorable Adagala.
Chair.
In that order.
Mine is not really a question. I'm just intrigued, and I don't know, the surprise would be an understatement that a company incorporated in February, in a space of about 2-3 months, have landed an order worth $1 billion plus. It's, I'm mesmerized, that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Honorable Joyce.
Mine is very brief, Chair. I thought you had asked, is it shop and buy, the issue of CR12? Did you, Chair, ask about that?
CR12?
Yeah. And I think they didn't respond.
They will respond. Oh, okay. You can just ask.
Because
so
you had said that
they are just noting the questions.
Yes, and then the second one, to Crown, did they say they have also filed a civil suit, the High Court, against the nation? Because I think that didn't come out clearly as it did with the
Shop and buy, kindly switch off your microphone. Thank you. Take it up again. There was feedback from the audio recording. Just the last comment.
Okay. Chair, I would like Shop and Buy to answer the question on the CR12, and then Crown to confirm whether they have also filed a civil suit against Nation Media. Thanks.
Thank you. Honorable Dagala.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask Megascope, Mr. Ngatia. You have not specified how much was your tender at KEMSA. And also, I'm seeing here you are a shrewd business person. You have several interests. Won't it collide the chamber and your personal company? That's all, Chair.
Honorable Jagagwa, then I'll go to.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Permit me, Madam Chair, to ask one direct question to gentleman called James Kipketa Chelule. Then once he answers that, then I can ask another 2 questions. Kindly.